Peace, guys. Welcome to the channel. And right now it's pretty much the Sabbath. It's midnight. It's 12:36, and I'm gonna be doing a recording of a reading. I'm on StreamYard right now. I'm gonna go ahead and present my screen, show you guys my channels. It's gonna take a second. Just bear with me. Okay, there we go. So, as you can see on the screen, this is one of my YouTube channels, Repentant Nation. And if you guys are looking for some Bible-related videos, motivational videos about the current state of affairs, this is one channel. I have another channel called Hands to the Plow. And this is the first channel that I had. And it used to be called, first it was just my email, then it was Eunuchs to Christ, and it was going to be dedicated to videos for people who are single. And it's very interesting topic. Pretty much, they're not married, so they live a lifestyle of being single. And I think it's an interesting topic because society is very, very, I would say, counter that. Like, I would say lustful. Society can be very lustful. There's a lot of lust in society, and it inspires, or there's a lot of debate around the way that things are as far as how people dress, and I think there's a fair amount of people, I would say, that would agree that the way that society is when it comes to media, when it comes to movies, when it comes to music, it's very lustful. And so being a person who's a eunuch or a celibate, I would say, is definitely a challenge. And in the Bible, there are certain scriptures that talks about individuals who are eunuchs. So if you're a single person, if you're a person that's been single for a long time, and you think that might be something that you're interested in, you can check my channel out. I talk about it. You might find some things that you would agree with. You might find some things that you would disagree with. Overall, I hope that it would be a positive experience. And feel free to leave a comment. And if you want, you could like it. You could like it. You could share it. But no pressure, of course. I'm just doing this because it's something that I've been wanting to do. Well, at least the reading right now, the reading at midnight. Sometimes I'll be up at midnight, and sometimes it's a battle. I have to fight to not fall into sin. And sometimes I get weak, I'm battling with the spirit of lust. And so by God's grace, I have some strength today. I've been praying by the Heavenly Father's grace, fasting, trying to, just keep myself clean and pure for the Heavenly Father. And if you have seen any of my videos before, at least on Hands to the Plow, I started some playlists, and I've been reading the Bible like one chapter at a time per video, and just doing a breakdown. Like, I have Ezekiel reading and summaries. I didn't finish that yet, but the goal was, and in a way I was supposed, I suppose, still is to finish the whole book and pretty much just give a summary of it. And so I actually started doing it. I was going to do a playlist from Genesis to Revelations. And I got kind of discouraged a bit because I'm like, dang, I'm gonna read Genesis to Revelations and break it down one chapter at a time on YouTube. And I'm like, I don't know if I kind of lost the steam a bit. I kind of lost the motivation. So recently, again, I was thinking about doing videos. I really been thinking about going live on Facebook because I can't go live on YouTube. I don't have enough subscribers. Facebook, I can go live, but I don't get a lot of attention or a lot of. Sometimes I might get some views, but I don't get a lot of interaction. So I haven't really been going live on Facebook. And plus, it's kind of laggy on the laptop, but I did start Genesis. And so I would like to pick back up from that. The only exception is I want to try to read as much as I can instead of just doing one chapter at a time because I think that will take longer. And I think that might maybe demotivate me a bit. Your browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. Try sharing your screen again. Restart your browser if this continues to be a problem. So, looks like I'm still recording. So, maybe there's a glitch somewhere. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Genesis chapter 16. I'm reading from the NLT version. I know some people are very strictly KJV. And I could understand why when we read from other translations, sometimes it seems like the context of what's going on. Sometimes it's like the translation is not good. Sometimes it kind of changes the meaning of what's being said. I wish I had an example off the top of my head, but I don't. But for that reason, I could understand why people wouldn't want to read any other version. The reason why I do like the NLT is because it's pretty close to the English that we speak now. Whereas the KJV, I think it's fair to say that it's a bit more accurate when translating it from the Greek and the Hebrew. But the English is outdated. So sometimes I think it can make it a challenge. So for me, at least when it comes to just reading it, maybe not doing a deep study. I like to do the NLT. All right, so I know I'm saying I'm going to read, which I am, but also too, just really quickly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read more than a chapter. My sinuses are not cooperating with me right now. My breathing is it's not the greatest, so I'm gonna try to see what I can do. Maybe I might just do one chapter. This chapter is pretty short. Yeah, let me open the window. That might help a bit. That might help with my breathing. Maybe I can. Maybe I can read a bit more than a chapter. All right. The birth of Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her." And Abram agreed with Sarai's proposal. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. All right, so already I'm gonna go ahead and pause and break that down. So I know it's already probably sounding crazy to people, like what? A woman told her husband to pretty much sleep with her employee. That sounds kind of crazy this day and age that we live in, but or maybe not, depending on you know um, certain views and beliefs and circles of influence. But I think maybe the average person would see that as being kind of uh, they might say it's delusional, it's absurd, and back during this period of time in ancient history, having multiple wives, I think this was a bit more normal in ancient times. I mean, even in modern times, depending on where you go, have or depending on the culture, having multiple wives is not as frowned upon in certain cultures. So, but in this instance, this woman, she was somehow they worked out a deal. Maybe it's not fair to call it a deal, but this woman, Sarai, she was an older woman. Abram was an older man. They didn't have a child of their own. They both really wanted to have a child, and the Lord promised them a child, but it was at an appointed time. And in this moment, I believe Sarai's patience got the best of her. And just to add a bit more context, Sarai was a barren woman, which means her womb wasn't strong enough to produce a child. So this is why it is believed that she became impatient and she just wanted to have a child so bad that she allowed her friend or her servant, her employee, to sleep with her husband so that she could, in a way, be sort of a godmother, if you will, roughly translated in modern terms. But so she could enjoy that feeling. And so, actually, it does say that Hagar the Egyptian was given to Abram as a wife. So I don't know if it reads that way in the KJV, but I'll go ahead and continue. Verse 4. So Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she is pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me." Abram replied, "Look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit." Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness, along the road to Shur. The angel said to her, "Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from, and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai," she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her authority." Then he added, "I will give you more descendants than you can count." So we see there's like some jealousy going on. The woman who was so Abram and Sarai, they're like a very wealthy couple, and this is during ancient times. So they were very wealthy. They had back then they would have been called servants, but today, we could still call them that, but it's probably more accurate to say that they were employees in a way, because although they were serving, they were all working together to live off of the land, maybe traveling around in a caravan, if you will. Maybe they were doing trade, digging wells and grazing their animals. So they had a different way of life, but this wasn't a sort of. It's not like it was some type of forced servitude or anything like that. The people, as far as I can understand, they were willingly serving Abraham and Sarai. So they were more like employees. And if I'm wrong, may the Heavenly Father correct me. But so we see that Sarai, she gets upset because Hagar, she's kind of like in a way exalting herself, and she's becoming jealous, and there's this sort of rivalry going on. And Sarai, she approaches Abram. She's like, "Look, man, this lady, she's beginning beside herself." And I'm laughing, but it is a very serious thing. If you're a Bible believer, then of course you believe that this is real. So Abram's like, "Hey, do your thing. That's your servant. That's your employee. Hey, do what you got to do." So she ends up reprimanding her, dealing with her in a very shrewd way, in a way, and she essentially chased her off because nobody wants to be on the hot seat. Nobody wants to be getting constantly reprimanded or scolded or just feel like they weren't out their welcome. So we see the angel of God. He comes to Hagar in her time of distress and basically tells her, well, yeah, he tells her to go back. He tells her to go back. So, and also promises that she's gonna be pretty much like um, she's gonna be a great foremother. She's gonna be the mother of many offspring. I'm not gonna read this highlighted part. If you want to read it, you can go to lifebible.com/Bible, or you can go to the App Store, Play Store, type in Tecarta Bible, and it's gonna say KJV, but they got multiple versions. It's free. I think I did pay for one version. I might have paid for this version, but you don't have to. They have free versions. So, verse 11. And the angel also said, "You are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. The son of yours will be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against, excuse me, against all his relatives." Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me." She also said, "Have I truly seen the one who sees me?" So that well was named Be'er Lahai Roi, which means well of the living one who sees me. It can still be found between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. So the chapter comes to it would seem somewhat of a happy end. She goes back. Seems like she humbles herself. She's promised that she would give birth to a son, and she also has an encounter with the Lord, it would seem, even though it's with an angel, but she acknowledges the God of Abraham or the God of Abram. So it seems like the chapter comes to a good ending. So let me see. I'm at 19 minutes. And 19 minutes. I want to keep going, but honestly, I don't know how long I'm gonna go before I have to. The longer I do the video, the longer it's gonna take to upload. So I think I'm just gonna call it. I think I'm just gonna end it, even though I do want to keep going. I might just end up doing it another one. I'm gonna have to figure it out, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think if you ever read it before, and would you guys, if anybody's up, yeah, let me know if I should go live on Facebook, if I should give that a try. And again, you can check out my channels. If I get 50 subscribers, I believe that's what it takes to go live on YouTube. So, and with that, I'm gonna say peace.